What's going on, everybody? It's your best friend in real estate, Scott B. And today we're going to be going over what to offer when it's a seller's market and how to strategically make an offer that gets accepted. Please remember to like and subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, help my YouTube channel grow. Let's get into it. Okay, so look, I'm not in the business of wasting anybody's time here. So the rest of this video is going to be me explaining how I got my number, but the property in question that we're about to go over should have had an offer submitted at around $380,000 or more to get accepted by the seller. Now, please stick around on how I got that number. But if you're not interested in hearing it, $380,000 is my suggested offer price. All right. Now let's pull up Zillow real quick. Zillow is the most common used home search website by the home buyer today. So we're going to use it because it's easy for the end user, the buyer, to understand and work. So we already have a property that we're going to be looking at. It's going to be a Zillow-owned property in Kennesaw, Georgia. And we see right here that it is listed for $389,000, basically $390,000. There's recently been a price cut of $5.6 thousand. The estimate for Zillow is given at $389,000. Let's see. Home value $389,000. So $370,000 to $409,000. Built in 2011. Check out the pictures. House is vacant. It is Zillow owned, meaning Zillow has purchased the property and is now attempting to sell it. Now, one of the main reasons why Zillow purchased properties in markets is to actually get their name out there for branding. We all know Zillow, but we know them as a home search website. They're getting their name out. They're putting their sign in yards, mainly as a marketing ad. So they know it's going to cost them to purchase a property and the holding costs of having that property. But the more they can get out there, the more people that live in this area, they continue to see the Zillow sign. It's, oh, I can sell my house on Zillow. They are trying their best to win market share right now. So date listed, I'm trying to find right now. All right, so this has been on Zillow for 91 days, so almost 3 months, seen over 3,000 views, and 100 people have saved it. Now let's jump to what real estate agents or realtors use. They use the multiple listing service. I like to say this is our Zillow. So we would hit matrix. We would go down to search. We're searching for residential. Okay, so we're going to input the address. Bada boom. We're going to search in a half-a-mile radius. We know that there's actives for sale. Active means that it is actively for sale. They haven't found a buyer. They have not closed. We have expireds. Now, I like to keep expireds in mind because that helps us know what's not selling. In a seller's market, there's not going to be a lot of expireds, which we are in a seller's market. So, but let's still have in the last, let's say 30 days. And then closed transactions, of course, that means whenever they had an offer on their property and they have made it to the closing table. Then you have actively under contract, and then you also have pending, meaning they were for sale. They're currently in the middle of negotiations or waiting on lender approval. They're just typically the home buying process from the time an offer is accepted till it's closed is about 30 to 45 days. So this is the pending and under contract is the ones that are in that 30 to 45 days. So now we have 16 matches. If you look down to the left, 16 matches. Let's see if we can't narrow that down a bit by adding 4. Okay, we have 9. So that's going to give us I like to keep it almost in double digits, not too many, but around 10. Now let's go back. Let's check out some of these some of these photos. Okay. A typical Zillow owned property. Older appliances. High traffic areas, carpet needs cleaning. We want to consider that. Just 10-year-old carpet, 10-year-old appliances, 10-year-old fixtures, 10-year-old paint. 10-year-old deck. All right. Now let's go back. So we have an idea of what it looks like. Now let's see. All right. So looking at sales in the area. So I like to do the distance method. There we go. Shiloh Valley is going to be the address. So then let's get even more specific. Let's see what's selling in the subdivision. Okay, only one. Oh, there we go. All right, so here we have 3 properties in the last 180 days that have sold, or 4 properties I've sold. We have the one that's owned by Zillow for $389. We have a $451, a $425 one, a $410 one, and a $465. All right. This one is built in 2011, whereas the other ones are 2005, 2004, 2004, 2005. Already we have a 6 to 7 year younger or newer or greener property. So let's check it out. All right. So this is going to be a 5-bedroom. Listed at $435, sold at $451. Gives you an idea. Let's just get a look at what it sold for. 104% of listing value. All right, so this is not in our wheelhouse. Let's get even more specific. Let's take the 5 bedrooms out of it and go specifically to the 4 bedrooms. So here's the property we're looking at. We've already seen it. Next. All right, here we go. 425, listed at 410, sales price 425. So we already know that this neighborhood is selling for more than it gets listed for. 104. Let's just look at, okay, so we have pressure floors, newer appliances, it looks like. Let's see, square footage. Yep, we have about a few hundred more square foot. Still 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, but it just looks like the house is currently being lived in. So there's a little bit more TLC that happens, and it's decorated a bit more, not as much carpet. This one's very nice. Let's see some photos of it. Cleaner carpets, same age of appliances. They add a little backsplash to spice it up a notch. All right. So this one sold for 10. 96% of list price. What they list for originally. Then we have this one that sold for 360. So you see here, they list it for $360,000, ended up sales price 365. So they probably needed some closing costs covered. So, hey, we'll add to the list, to the sales price, because they're financing this 365,000, and this 2,500 comes out of their pocket in cash. So they said they would like a little help for their closing costs because that's out of pocket today. So they increased their offer price and took out asked the seller for closing costs. So let's just say for this property right now. So this property should realistically, after we've looked at all the actual comps in the area, should be about $400,000. And they've already lowered their price. So let's just say you wanted to put an offer in for $389,000. That would actually be a fantastic offer for this property. Now, you already know that I would actually say realistically a $375,000 to $380,000 offer would be in the ballpark with no closing cost added. So that would be it. I would say always shoot for 380 because you can always negotiate after the due diligence process. So due diligence is the time where you can have the property inspected and then back out for whatever reason. The seller knows you can back out for any reason, especially after the inspection. So we want to get inside the deal by giving them an offer that they like. Let's go 380. They agree to it. They're only taking a $9,000 haircut, and then go under contract. Now, after the inspection, we know that the carpet's banged up. We know that it's a 10-year-old property, almost 12-year-old property. We're assuming that there's going to be some issues with fixtures. We're going to assume that, you know, something else needs to be corrected or repaired on the property. So we would then negotiate. I'd say it probably won't sell for anything less than 375,000. But if you wanted to keep it at 380 and then ask for closing costs, so 380, and then you ask for a property like this, $8,000 in closing costs, you'd be good to go. There would be no reason why they wouldn't accept this actual offer. But this is how you have to look at it. You have to do a comparative market analysis. You have to see what's selling in the area. So let's just say you said, okay, this property right here sold for 365. So I want to put an offer in for 365. The sellers are looking at the other properties that have sold more recently. So this is in April. Now you have May, now you have June. They've gone up, look, $50,000, now $25,000. Just because this one needs a little repair work doesn't mean that you would want to shoot in $50,000 less just to match this one or go even lower. Now, one more thing that I want you to consider is this is going to be a Zillow-owned property. This property is owned by Zillow. Zillow has all the money. They have all the money in the world. So they're not going to take a $50,000 haircut when they know that the holding costs, meaning the electricity and the HOA fees, are only a few $100s a month. So why would they take a $50,000 haircut on a property that they paid? Let's see what they paid for. That's a good, let's see. We can pull tax records and see what Zillow paid for this property. Zillow owned homes, boom, boom, bada boom. All right, so Zillow paid $406,000 for this. And Zillow originally priced this property at $437,000. Now Zillow sees, okay, so they're basically like a bank's holding it. They have all the money in the world. So this is right now the deal that they're willing to give. Zillow did all their research. They said, based off of the comparables, we'll purchase this property because it makes sense to the seller at $406,000 because it's just right under, and people know that they needed to do some repairs and that they would sell it. So we'll put it up for sale for $435,000. Maybe we'll get a little deal out of it. Maybe since people are overpaying in this seller's market, someone would actually buy it. But if no one does, we're at least have our sign out and we're advertising and people know that we buy homes so other people in the neighborhood would sell their property. Now, if you're thinking, well, it's been for sale for 3 months, Zillow's probably going to want to accept an offer by now. You have to consider their holding costs. Again, it's a few $100s a month to hold their property. They're not going to give you the property for $50,000 less than what they actually paid for it, $56,000 less than they paid for it, because they know that they would rather just have their sign out in the front yard for, let's just say if it's their holding costs are $1,000 a month. It's probably not, because the house is paid off and paid in cash. So all they're paying is the electricity and the HOA. But we'll just say for easy numbers, it's $1,000 a month. If you're going $50,000 cheaper than they paid, that's 50 months that they can be advertising their property in this neighborhood. People driving by it every single day. It's marketing. It's a marketing ploy for Zillow to get the home buyers and homeowners to know that they're buying properties. They're not going to accept anything lower than what they're actually offering right now, unless you're willing to not even meet in the middle. They're probably going to accept an offer that's $375,000 to $380,000 because that's what it needs to do, because we know that it needs a little bit of repair. And then that's it. So that's what I would suggest. Scott's suggestion: put an offer in for 380 with no closing costs, and then during the due diligence, then you start really negotiating. You want to get that first yes. This is match.com. We're trying to find our perfect match, and our perfect match is this house, and we're the buyer. We don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot by, hey, $1, Bob. Let's put an offer in for $1 and let's just see what they come back with. They probably won't even entertain anything that's under 2 to 3% of what their actual asking price is. Okay, so let's pull up a view of the CMA. Everything that we went over just a moment ago, I put it into the MLS for the computer system to actually make their estimated guess of what the property should be realistically priced for. Let's see. So this is the property in question, 84 days on market. And I want to touch on the fact again that Zillow owns this property. Zillow has all of the money in the world to hold this property. They're not stressing about selling it in day one. They're not going to stress about selling it in day 500 because they get all the money. They'll hold it. They know that if they hold the property, holding costs on this property is going to be a few $100, and they're not going to take a $50,000, $20,000 haircut on the property just because the buyer thinks that they will. So average days on market for all the other properties were 12 days. All right, then the average sales price is about $400,000 for other 4.2s. This one is slightly smaller than all the other ones. The one that's closest to it, 200 square feet smaller, sold for $425,000. This is the 365 one. This is the property in question. Here we go, 410, 425. Listings in this analysis can be summarized as the follow. Listing price between 360 and 410. Selling price is going to be 365 to 425. Notice the list price, sales price, 4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, years built 2004 to 2011. All right, number of days on the market. Where's the good stuff? This is the comparables. Let's get to pricing. Pricing recommendations. Here we go. All right. After analyzing your property, comparable properties on the market now, recent sales and comparable properties that failed to sell, I conclude that in the current market, your property is most likely to sell for $375,000 to $381,000. Let's go. So the super smart computer says it. The bad realtor Scott says it. So that's what I would suggest. If you were going to submit an offer for this property, and if you wanted it to win, realistically, the seller is going to take $375,000 to $381,000 would be the lowest you should go. Again, they don't have to accept this offer because they don't need to. They're thinking to themselves, well, if it's $370,000, that's what that is, $19,000 that they can use towards marketing. $19,000. If their holding costs are $1,000 a month, that's 19 months. That's almost 2 years that they can be marketing this property. People driving in, people driving out, people seeing, oh, that this property is owned by Zillow. I didn't know that they buy property. Can we start an offer? Or other properties, you can say, other properties, you'll be able to put, I'd like to get an offer on my property. So realistically, $375,000, $380,000 is where this one should have been priced at. They bought a little too high. They thought that because other ones were $425,000, that they would be able to sell it for $430,000. You'll see that a lot of these large companies that are cash buyers come in, they purchase the property because everybody's saying that the market's hot. They bought them a few months ago and now the marketing's still hot. People aren't giving properties away. When there's multiple properties for sale in one area, let's see, cancel this. When there's multiple properties for sale in one area, see, there's only one property for sale in this neighborhood. But when there's 5 to 10 of them, yeah, they'll start accepting lower offers. But right now, this is the only party in town. I would suggest putting an offer in for $380,000 for this property. Of course, if you have any other questions regarding the home buying, home selling process, please let me know. Your best friend in real estate, Scott B.